Hey everybody, welcome to the couch for episode 24. I'm still numbering them because it was pointed out to me that it's a good idea. It helps people keep track of them. I was just chuckling because 24. It's weird to do this because I'm alone and I'm talking out loud. It's very strange. But 2020 has been strange. The kind of crescendo for me of being alone and talking into a machine to hopefully be received by other people either now or in the future. So trying to behave like I'm not alone, but knowing I am alone. That sort of crescendoed for me last week when I played a house show via Zoom. A very nice woman reached out to me through my website. I got an email asking if she could set up a Zoom call with her and some friends and family from all over the country, and if I would do a show. And I said, I'm willing to try that, but I've never done it before, and I can't say that it'll work all that well. And she said, well, let's try it. It sounds fun. And I said, yeah, it does. So I got set up so it would, on my end, look and sound better than a Zoom call. I assume it looked and sounded quite a bit like the podcast. I used the same camera, and I set up a nice microphone, and we did the Zoom call, and I played the show, and it was a lot of fun. But because of my audio setup, and it's kind of techie nerd stuff, but to avoid having any kind of feedback, I had to mute the audio on my end so people could hear me, but I couldn't hear them. So I couldn't hear if people were laughing. I couldn't hear if they were applauding. Ideally, they would have been doing both. But I could see them, and they quickly figured out. I told them I couldn't hear them, so they would do fun things like wave their hands like this if they liked the song, or they would snap. and that was fun. And it sort of highlighted for me one of the things I've been missing this year, which is my feelings about songs include the audience. I've heard Jeff Tweedy from the band Wilco say similar things, but the process of a song is only completed once it's heard. It starts as a thought or an idea, and then you make it, but it only exists for you, and your feelings about it are informed by the fact that you made it. Sometimes for good, sometimes for bad. We can be pretty harsh on ourselves, or we can be a little too self-congratulatory. So in playing a song and having it heard by someone and felt by someone and reacted to by someone, that's sort of the completing of that circuit. And this house show I played mostly songs that I have written this year during quarantine or COVID or whatever we're going to call it. Not everyone has been quarantined, which is a longer conversation for a different day that I don't feel like I need to weigh in on right now. Obviously, you could just watch what I'm doing to find out what I think is right. And I've been staying home. I haven't been going places. I haven't been traveling. I haven't been playing shows. I haven't been seeing friends. I haven't, none of that stuff. And that's been hard, but I think it's been the right call. And it's reduced some stress. There have been opportunities to do things, but when it's laid out to me like, to keep it safe, here's how we'll do it. People asked if I wanted to play some shows, and then they would explain why it's going to be safe, and then I would start to feel like these precautions make it not feel like one of my shows anymore. If people can't be together, and if I can't talk to them afterwards, and it doesn't feel like one of my shows, and I'm not sure I want to do the thing that it would feel like, there's a hardcore band from California called Touche Amore that I like quite a bit, and I was watching an interview with their guitar player, and he said, like, our shows are hugely about people being together in a room and sweating and running around, and until we can have that back, we don't want to try some sort of pale imitation or approximation of that. And I like that. I like the integrity of like, no, there's what I want to do, and I'll wait until I can do it. But this house show was a fun other thing. It did feel different because I wasn't receiving much in the way of reaction. You know, a joke changes quite a bit when you don't hear someone laugh, and my show is hugely based on crowd response. I don't have set lists or anything like that. So I come up, I play a song, and then I say something. And the something that I say is different every time, but it's specifically designed to sort of gauge what kind of room I'm in and what kind of people I'm with. I'll tell a joke or a story that's like right on the edge, and I'll be able to tell from the response if it's a bit more of a conservative crowd, or if it's a bit more like we're here for the emotional punch, or we're here for the jokes, and we're prepared to go as far down that road as you want to take us. I admit I have occasionally ventured too far. There are 2 jokes that we talk about in the house here that I'm not supposed to do anymore. I didn't find them incredibly offensive, but my wife is the smart one of the 2 of us. Incidentally, she's also the prettier one and the more emotionally intelligent one. And I'm not sure what I'm bringing to the table here. I have more tattoos. I have more experience getting injured in Taco Bell bathrooms than she does. I know more Pauly Shore quotes. I have a deeper intellectual appreciation for the Wayne's World franchise. So I guess I'm not bringing nothing. I'm just not bringing anything useful. Thank God she's here. What on earth was I talking about? Ah, yes. I have done 2 jokes on stage that my wife afterwards was like, hey, that was a really great show. That one joke, don't ever do that again. And then I would say like, no, a couple people liked it. And she would say, more people didn't. Don't ever do that again. And then just to confirm, I would do it again, and the same thing would happen. And she would say, do you see? And I would see. What else? Let's have some coffee, shall we? Let's see if this is scalding hot. It is. It's good though. What else has been going on this week? It's really unfortunate that Donald Trump is the person who coined the term fake news, because it makes it feel a lot less usable, because the last thing I want is to be aligned with anything that Donald Trump thinks. I mean, he wasn't even in the best Home Alone movie. Like, everything he does is wrong. But you do see a lot of, you'd have to call it fake news, and maybe we should come up with a different term for it. But I saw 2 really notable instances of it. The first one was a headline that just says, does the COVID-19 vaccine cause Bell's palsy? And you go, oh my days. And you click on it and the article goes, no. And you're just like, the headline could have just been, the COVID vaccine does not cause Bell's palsy, and you wouldn't even need an article attached to it. It could be like The Onion, where mostly you just read the headline. Did you know a lot of Onion headlines have articles attached? A lot of people don't know that. But yeah, does the COVID-19 vaccine cause Bell's palsy? You click and it goes, nope. Nope, it doesn't. And then the other one was, I saw a bunch of people saying that the CEO for Pfizer isn't going to get the vaccine. And they were saying, that's how you know that you shouldn't get it either. And I Googled it, and I found a bunch of articles that say the CEO of Pfizer says he's not getting the vaccine. And you go, geez Louise. But you click it, and the reason he's not getting the vaccine is because he's relatively young and in good health. And he's not getting the vaccine yet. What he said is, I'm not going to jump the line just because I own this company or whatever. And stop me before I jump to the defense of a pharmaceutical CEO. But it seems like for the first time ever, one of them did the right thing, and people used it to sort of prop up their quasi-political beliefs. I don't know. Scientific beliefs is an odd phrase, isn't it? Political beliefs is an odd phrase. Like, if ever two things should just be factual, it's those two things. And at the very least, I can say I'm not interested in people's scientific beliefs. Just give me the facts, man. But speaking of, I saw all these headlines on social media, which is a plague that I am a part of. But especially this year, it does feel, if you're not there, you have fewer opportunities to connect. And I really do. I put in a lot of effort to try to make my little corner of the social media world be a funny and engaging one. I try to talk about music and especially for me, like making things, like making music and podcasts and things, you really have to have these avenues to tell people about your stuff. But it's also terrible. It's just terrible. And you know why it's terrible. And I won't go into all the specifics. But one of the ways in which it was specifically terrible is I saw a bunch of people, saying, will you be getting the vaccine? And then they just let anybody get in their comment section and say why or why not. And I think the hazard there is that we often forget that social media, depending on your settings, I suppose, is largely public. So while you might think you're having a conversation with your friends, and you are, you're also amplifying whatever your friends think. And they're often not your friends. It's your weird uncle and some guy that met you at a Jimmy John's once, and who knows what else. A lot of Russian dudes, and who knows. And I have long thought that, just as a matter of fact, not everybody should have a platform, because not everybody is responsible with their platform, and also just not everybody deserves a platform. It's like, some people have these platforms and they use them as platforms. It's one thing to have a network of friends where you guys talk, but it is just a cold hard fact that not everybody should have a megaphone through which they can shout their opinions, because most opinions are crap. You know, like, it's one of the reasons that I try to spend most of my time in that world, telling jokes and talking about music. But I was very dismayed to see all the people that were willingly sort of handing over their platform to let people, again, that are not doctors, that have not even Googled things, say they're not going to get the vaccine because they just don't trust it. And I'm going, the vaccine is not a hitchhiker. It doesn't matter. You don't need to trust, like... And my favorite bit of, I don't even know what you call it, bullshit, was people going, it was developed too fast. It took years and years to develop the polio vaccine, and this took 9 months. And that shows a pretty profound lack of understanding when it comes to the scientific method, because science, as we all know, builds upon itself. So a vaccine that is created in 9 months was created on the back of all other vaccine science, lo, these past 100 years or more. So it's not... It'd be one thing if this was the first vaccine ever. And I'm not going to tell people to not feel a little nervous or a little uncomfortable or whatever. And again, I'm not going to tell you that you should just blindly trust pharmaceutical companies and governments, because that's not what I think. What I do think is that I'm all the way over this, and I've talked about it before, this attitude of like, hey man, I'm just asking questions. I'm just throwing out poisonous ideas that are going to get people to consider not doing what's best for themselves and their families. But I'm slapping a question mark at the end, so I'm not responsible for the ramifications of what I say. You know, like, there are questions you could ask that you shouldn't ask. You know, like, you think kittens would taste really good on tacos? Like, no, don't do what? Stop. I'm just asking. Nah. Stop just asking. Sorry. Perhaps I should play you a song. This is a new song, or a 2020 song. It's been released on a record called, what was it called? I think it was called Midnight Crow. Yeah, it was called Midnight Crow. I've released a lot of music this year. I released 2 folky singer-songwriter, Christopher Gold, same old stuff, EPs. And I released an instrumental record and a live record and a book. That's where I got these bags under my eyes. I'm tired all the time. But I wrote this song for my wife on her birthday because she's always been hard to shop for. And she got even harder to shop for because of the pandemic and the not being able to just, you know, go to a place and look around at stuff. So Ollie and I did get her some things, and I wrote her this song. I have written her a lot of songs. This might be the most recent one, and it might be my favorite. Also, just as a song, it's one of my favorites because I think it's a happy song, but it acknowledges feeling sad and feeling scared and feeling like we've lost some stuff this year. And the older I get, the more interested I am in songs like that. Because songs like that feel honest. They feel like a whole picture. I remember even as a kid, when I was a kid, there was a phase of my life where I was only allowed to listen to Christian music. And almost immediately I started thinking, so you buy a record, it's got 12 songs on it, and all of these songs are about God. Like nothing else is happening to these people. Like they're not having bad days, they're not in love, they're not raising kids, they're not traveling, all these things that I knew they were doing, and it just felt, if not dishonest, it felt inaccurate. And the older I get, the more I feel that way about a song that is all just one anything. If you buy a record and the whole record is just sad, you go like, maybe, but that seems like maybe you're not really totally looking at the whole picture. And if the whole record is just happy, you go, maybe, but that seems like maybe you're not looking at the whole picture. And once I realized I wanted records to like traverse a spectrum of feeling and experience and emotion, I realized that maybe songs could too. Again, it's that old Leonard Cohen quote about there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. So I also, and I mentioned this at my house show, but I realized several years ago that most people don't want to come see you and just hear 15 sad songs. And I realized I don't want to spend 150 days a year traveling around and getting sad for 90 minutes at the end of every day. But I do want to communicate with people and connect with them. And that means that when I'm sad, they hear about it. When I'm happy, they hear about it. And in what I think are my better songs, they get both and sort of the journey from one to the other, or why I've chosen to focus on one more than the other while still acknowledging that they're both there. And I explain it all in rambling monologues just like this one to people that are going, is he playing a song? Is he going to play the song? Because he's got that guitar. I thought he was a singer-songwriter. Why is he still talking? This is called A Couple More. It's from a lady. It goes like this. I've been staying up late, and I've been sleeping in. I've been reading Walden, 5 pages at a time. I've been trying to love you a little better every day, and I've been learning not to need a thing. I've been having coffee late in the afternoon, trying to count these blessings 5 minutes at a time. and having longer kitchen conversations and spending all my days singing all the old Bob Dylan songs to you. And they say better days are on the way, but I ain't really sure. 'Cause the days they said were bad were some of the best I'd ever had. And I know it's foolish, but I'd take a couple more. Lost a little money, I've been a little scared, and I've lost a little status and tried my hardest not to care. But if the upside is late nights and more time with you, well, you know you won't hear me complain. And they say better days are on the way, but I ain't really sure. 'Cause the days they said were bad were some of the best I'd ever had. And I know it's selfish, but I'd take a couple more. All right. So there you go. That's my best attempt so far at trying to acknowledge, like, you know, there's light and dark in everything. If it was all light, it'd be blinding, and if it was all dark, it wouldn't be worth looking at. Let's do some recommendations and then get you out of here. First up, we have this record here by a gentleman who goes under the name The Tallest Man on Earth. This record is called I Love You, It's a Fever Dream. This is the 7th record by this gentleman. His name's Christian Mattsson. He's from Sweden. And this is his most recent full length. And he recorded it all, mostly all, in his Brooklyn apartment. So it has this wonderful home recorded feel. There's something about, I've made records in studios and I've made records at home. And I wouldn't venture to say which one is better, but I will say that there's something you get from a home recording that is not usually present in a studio recording, which is just a kind of feeling of ease, a feeling of comfort that you would expect from someone recording at their house. Oftentimes studios can be really cool, but sometimes they can also be, you know, they were laid out by someone else, they were designed by someone else, and they were designed to suit everybody for the most part. So they can feel a little impersonal, and it often definitely feels like you're in a place doing a thing, which is not always the best way to capture a performance. But what you have here are really comfortable, lovely performances of 10 songs. And check out The Running Styles of New York, or All I Can Keep Is Now. Check out all of his stuff, The Tallest Man on Earth. This is a really interesting record because he started out just a guy and an acoustic guitar, very sparse, and it gradually, throughout his records, got more and more fleshed out and added drums and other guitar players and horns and all kinds of stuff. And this is an interesting, equally full and lush, but somewhat pared back. Like there's not a lot of like bombast or anything on this record. It feels very intimate and close, and there's some great reverb stuff that he uses. He uses the reverb almost like an instrument on here instead of just something piled on to kind of cover things up. It's hard to explain, but I hope you check it out. I really like it. Next, we have the self-titled release from this band called Drag the River. Again, the record is called Drag the River. They're from Colorado. They are what you call an alt country band, which is basically twangy, country tinged songs that are equally sort of affected by punk rock or rock and roll, even if just in attitude or approach. I really like this band. I really like this record. I particularly love this record. My friend Scott got it for me. He went and saw them and grabbed this record for me. And I love that if I own any record that was given to me by somebody, I know, I remember. So anytime I listen to a record that I got as a gift, I get this added bonus of like, oh, my friend Scott. So let's see, what should we listen to here? I would check out Wichita Skyline or like Longfellows, all really good. And if you're into the alt country stuff, the twangy, but not, you can overdo that stuff, and they don't, and I like it. Plus you get pedal steel, which is one of my favorite instruments in the world. Finally, speaking of people giving us things and us feeling good about them, I have this book here. It's a book of poetry by a woman named Barbara Kingsolver, if I'm pronouncing that right, and I hope I am. It's called How to Fly in 10,000 Easy Lessons. And it was a gift from my friend Jenny. And I've really enjoyed it. I still feel somewhat intimidated by poetry because I don't always feel like I understand it, or I don't always feel like it's for me, There's a lot of poetry I love, and I do occasionally write things that you might call poetry, but it is an intimidating medium. You feel like you have to be qualified or something, but you shouldn't. And I think we would all be very well served to spend some time trying to shake off our preconceived notions about what poetry is and the things we were taught about it in school, and that it's something to be dissected and picked apart. And it's really, when I approach poetry the way I approach any other art form, like music or a painting even, I enjoy it a lot more when you just take it in and let yourself just feel whatever you feel about it. So check out on page 9, there's a poem called How to Survive This, and it's great, and it's perfect for the times. And I didn't even realize till this very second, but it also kind of addresses what I was saying about like you can be optimistic in sad moments, and you can spend equal time with both feelings. And it's great, and I love this book, and I love Jenny, and it's just awesome. I really dig it, and I hope you guys check it out. Barbara Kingsolver. And that'll do it. I hope the lighting was okay. I don't know if you guys know this, but most of the lighting for these is just from the window in my front room here. And do you guys say front room? I hear most people say living room. I wonder if front room is a remnant of a southern thing. I occasionally say things and my wife goes, that's a southern thing. Do you guys say front room? She also makes fun of the way I say pajamas. Pajamas? I can't remember which one I don't know. Anyway, so I hope it looks okay. It's cloudy out, which means it might be darker. I've thought about trying to get some lights or something, but there's a pandemic outside, and I haven't played a show in 280 something days. So maybe I shouldn't go buying lights. But I'll see you next week. There you go. I hope things are good. Hope you've been well. I hope you're not getting too much of your information from people that don't have information. And we'll talk soon. Thanks for coming. Bye.